Good evening, everybody. Sorry for interrupting the tunes, as I always am, but welcome to your Saturday night Asatru Heathen Norse Pagan prayer service. My name is Ben, Reverend Ben Kowalski-Grek, President of the Troth. Go thee, here to serve you guys and show you a way. Remember, I'm just going to say a way, not the way to pray, but a way to pray in Norse paganism, heathenry, also true. Welcome. I see we've been chatting already, which is great. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really do appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, Civilized. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Great to see you, as always. And I see some new faces here. Hey, I'm glad you. Hey, a couple people saying they're glad they made it, glad they snuck in. Hey, I'm glad you're here too. And just like all the other times, I'm going to go through this time and talk about how we structure this. So, as the troth is education and service, we like to do a little bit of education before the service. The education part is going to be talking about this thing over here, the threefold method thing that's popped up here. Where did that come from? Who made it up? Hint, hint. I made it up. It came from 20 years of being Asatru and reading the sources and putting together a prayer that worked for me, and I'm happy to share it with you all as well. Oh, well, thank you, Ash. I'm glad to have you here too. Archer Heart, glad to have you. Ulf Hayden Stevenson, welcome. Okay, so it's gonna be the education part, and then we're actually gonna do the service itself. We're gonna do this prayer together. I am not going to I can't see your cameras, so I can't judge your form. I can't even tell if you're doing this along with me, and that's okay. If you just want to sit back and observe what's going on, okay too. This might be your first time ever seeing Norse paganism being done by anybody, which is exactly why we have this service. So do not feel any pressure to jump in or do anything you're not comfortable with. If you want to sing along because you know the words, you can sing along because you know the words. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to be offended because, hey, I mean, I can't see you and I wouldn't be offended anyway. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful to see all the first timers here. Okay. The last part of this is going to be a little bit of a Q&A. So since I'm a Gothi, I can answer questions about heathenry, Norse paganism, also true, no problem. At least I should be able to answer some questions, right? And President of the Troth, if you have questions about that organization, I can answer some of the questions about that as well. If you want to know who's sponsoring this whole thing. Okay, so let's get into this over here. Where did this come from? Oh, let's see here. Can I use any hammer? Any hammer at all? Or, well, we'll get into it. Actually, there's a part, Ulf Hayden, we're going to get into this in just a little bit. So let's talk about where this prayer, where we start, where we begin. We begin with, which way do we face? Which way am I supposed to look? For me, I have an altar, so you can see my hand here, reaching towards the altar. I am facing that. So if you have an altar at home, a shrine of some kind, face that. If you don't, there are two directions that are mentioned very briefly in the lore, and I've kind of smushed them together. So if the sun is rising, then, or you are, I would say face east. If the sun has set or is setting, it's nighttime, face north. So east if the sun's rising, north if the sun is setting. That's what I would say. The next bit is the blessing of the space. And this, Ulf Hayden Stevenson, this is actually where the hammer starts coming in, because if you're old school, you know about something called the hammer rite. You know, if anyone's in the old school and knows this thing, just pop it in the chat and say, yes, I know what you're talking. I understood that reference. The hammer rite, something very, very popular, especially in the old days, still is done today, although less so than it used to be. I want to be OG. Okay, so heathens back in the day, and I'm not saying like back in ancient history, I'm talking more like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, even the 2000s, even up to today, do this thing called the hammer rite, which is you have a hammer, some kind, could be any hammer, I suppose, and you just kind of hold it. This is my fake hammer. You hold it and you point to the north and say, hammer of the north, hail and hallow this holy stead. Hammer in the east, hail and hallow this holy stead. Hammer in the south, hammer above, hammer below. If you know, you know. This was, for me, it's it never sat comfortably with me, just because it seemed little too bit high magic, which it would, because we got it from Wicca. The calling of the corners basically got turned into the Hammerite. So it's actually part of that period of heathenry where Wicca and heathenry were, well, Wicca was really influencing heathenry. It's part of our legacy, it's part of who we are, and it's part of our history, and it's a living part of our history because people still do it to this day. I actually just saw someone do it the other day, do the Hammerite. So still very popular. The second way of blessing space is to have a candle or some fire, torch, lantern or something like that, and to light that and, you know, circumambulate the space. This is my fake torch, my fake candle. You circumambulate, walk around, blessing the space, chanting, that kind of thing. You can do that. I think that requires a lot more space, though. Again, I as I like to say each week, I do not own, you know, pristine woodland real estate in rural Idaho, where I've built out a perfect grove for myself. I live in the city, man. I do not have that kind of space. I'm probably sure you guys don't either. So, or most of you don't live on a palatial estate in rural Idaho. So if you don't, if you live in a city or have limited space or in a dorm room like I was when I started, you need something that's a little bit more convenient and less fiery, you know, less fire going on. So I got you. Took a tip from our friends from the East. You can get yourself one of these if you want to. Singing bowl or a bell, or you can just clap your hands. So you can either ring a bell, ding a, you know, singing bowl, or clap your hands 3 times. I'm not going to make you run out and go buy an altar, or go out and buy a singing bowl, or go out and buy a bell. No. If you've just got your hands, if that's all you've got, and that was how I got started too, way back in 2004. That was how I got started. So yeah, clapping hands. We do that 3 times to bless the space. Afterwards, we bow and then come to kneeling, which I'm doing right now. So I come to kneeling, and as I kneel, so I blessed the space, you know, set it aside for the worship that we're about to do, the prayer, and then bless myself. Touch my hand to my forehead, I say bless my thoughts. I touch my hand to my throat and I say bless my words. And then I hold my hands out in front of me and say bless my deeds. Those are my 3 blessings there. And now we are ready to actually begin the prayer proper. So now, what do we say? What's there to say? I know a lot of folks out there like to, especially I've seen on Reddit, where it's like, well, how do I pray to the gods? And what is the most common response? Chat, I'll tell you, it is just start talking. I cannot tell you how frustrating that is for newcomers to hear just start talking, because that's not what I want to hear as a newcomer. Just start talking. What do you mean just start talking? Say, hey, what's up? I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what we're supposed to say. And I think part of the problem is that we don't have an actual prayer of some kind that's been handed down to us from generation to generation, right? That we don't have this unbroken tradition, that we don't have something like a Lord's Prayer or something like that. However, all hope's not lost here. We do have a large collection of poetry. And that poetry, some of it, dated by scholars, dates back to, even though it was written down by Christians, some of the forms of the poetry dates back to pre-Christian time. So some of us like to pull from that poetry or pull inspiration from that poetry in order to make our own verses, in order to make our own prayers. 2 of the most popular verses for that I'm going to be using. If you've never heard of them before and this is your first time, well, great. A lot of us do, and a lot of us do have these memorized. It's the Sigdrifamal verses 2 and 3. Hail Day, Hail Sons of Day, and the Hail the Gods, Hail the Goddesses verse. Those verses. Those are the ones that many of us have used as prayers. And what I'll do additionally, so I'll say both of those, and then I'll go into a free verse. So a free verse is whatever god or goddess that I'm looking to praise, worship, pray to. I'll make up a verse for them using that structure of Hail Day, Hail Sons of Day. So instead of Hail Day, it's like Hail Thor, Hail Sons of Day, Hail Son of Odin, Son of Earth. And then the third Hail is usually Hail our sustainer and our protector. And then we go into the blessings and things like that. And I just keep building verses like that. Chat, you already know, if you've been here before, you know that I do take requests. So if you have requests for prayers, please do feel free to put them in the chat. If it's a commonly known goddess or god, I will probably be able to come up with a verse. If it's a fairly obscure deity that maybe is mentioned only once or twice in the back of a book or an index or something, I've had it be the case before that people have stumped me, genuinely stumped me, and I've been like, who's that? So if I do that, I apologize. I am sorry. The Gothi doesn't know everything. We don't do that in Gothi training. We don't memorize every scrap of lore that we have, unfortunately. But if I can and where I can, I will do my best to accommodate as many people as I possibly can. So if you have requests this evening, please go ahead. And if you have anything in particular in mind that you're praying for or hoping to, that you're thinking about, that's on your mind, again, I'm here to serve. I will do my absolute best. I am not the greatest freestyle in the world. So apologies in advance. After doing that, though, we are going to move into doing meditation. So a 1 to 2 minute meditation. What I think of when I think of prayer is the encounter of the individual, that's us, with the gods. That's the individual subject with the absolute divine subject. So we are interacting with them. We are experiencing them, and they're experiencing us. And in that moment, what I want us to think about is how we are going to take this experience of encounter, of divine encounter, and how we're going to take that out into the world when we leave this space, when we leave the holy space. What are we going to do? If you want to think about it, I would say just think on how are you going to seek wisdom? How are you going to speak kindly and truthfully towards others? And how are you going to do good and healing deeds when you leave this space? And what are you going to do in the coming week, in the coming days, to bring this out into the world? Okay. After doing that meditation, again, 1 to 2 minutes, I'll rise, I'll bow twice more, and then we can do our Q&A. Easy as pie. All right, let's see here. Who do we have in our chat tonight? I see we have Air or Saga. Okay. Use their benevolence. Okay. I hear that. Got Hell. Okay. We got 2 for Air, so Air's going to be in there. That's 2. I'm not an oracle. Thank you. No, I am not. I do know some people that do practice something called oracular scythe, and I am not one. that ain't for me. Oh, we got 3 for Air. Oh, Air's getting it tonight. Okay. The clerk could probably do it, even without oracular scythe. Yes. Mother in the hospital. I am so sorry to hear that. Yes, I will think on that. Wolf Hayden. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about the. That's hard. Okay. We do have Thor. We do have Tyr. Okay, we have a conflict. Sure. I got you. Loki too. And Odin and Skadi. Okay. I think we can do it. I think we can do it, guys. All right, there's our lineup. Requests have been sealed. I need like a gong or something. Oh, wait. Requests have been sealed. All right, now let's get to the prayer itself. I'm going to switch over to our prayer music, and then we'll get to it. Instructions will be on the screen so you guys can follow along with what's going on if you want to. Bless my thoughts, bless my words, bless my deeds. Hail day, hail sons of day, hail night and her daughter. Look upon us with kind eyes, as we who are patient find peace. Hail the gods, hail the goddesses, hail the ever-giving earth. Bless us with wisdom, kind words, and healing hands, lifelong. Hail air, hail healing maiden, hail best and most perfect of physicians. Through your grace and through your skill, air, please heal and make whole our loved ones, our friends, our family, ourselves. Return them to us. Interesting follow-up to this. Hail hell, hail to the gracious one, hail to she who keeps our beloved dead. Lady Hell, may our beloved dead abide with you in perfect hospitality, enjoying your perfect graciousness until the day we are reunited with them. Hail Tyr, hail to the righteous Lord. Hail to the courageous one. Tyr, may you help guide us through conflict. May the victory come through righteousness and justice, not simply to one person, but to the idea of fairness, justice, and righteousness. Hail Thor. Hail son of Odin and of earth. Hail our sustainer and our healer. Thor, by your hammer, restore those of us who have become ill, who have been hurt, who have been wounded. Bless and protect them. Heal them, restore them, and bless us for all our days. Hail Loki. Hail to the loyal companion. Hail to the transformer. Loki, stand fast by your friends, guide them, and transform all their obstacles into the path that they walk, into who they must become. Hail Odin. Hail All-Father. Hail to the Lord of Wisdom. Odin, guide us in our thoughts. Guide us to goodness. Guide us to wisdom. Show us the true path. Hail Skadi. Hail to the Winter Maiden, hail to she who walks behind the trees, whose footprints never appear in snow. Beloved Huntress, may you walk with those who are lost in the winter cold or in the night. May you walk with those, may you guide them to home, guide them to comfort, guide them to safety. All right, thank you guys very much. That looks like everybody. Now, let's do our 1 to 2 minute meditation once again, thinking on how are we going to take this divine encounter and seek wisdom, speak kindly and truthfully towards others, and do good deeds, healing deeds. How are we going to take this moment and bring it into the rest of our week? I'll let you know when time's up. Alright, guys. Let's stand, bow twice more, and then we'll get to our Q&A. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for tonight's Heathen Also True Norse Pagan prayer service. If you're wondering, that's it? Yes, that's it. It's about 5 minutes. It does not take very long. You're welcome, Hayden, and I do hope the best for your mother in the hospital. I hope that, you know, with religious stuff, I can't tell you that, you know, for certain that what we're going to do is going to help, right, in some kind of physical sense. But one of the things I found through being a Gothi is that one of the things we can provide is meaning in times when things are incredibly confusing. So I hope that this was meaningful and that you know that there's a community that does care in this way, and that there are gods that care. Even if there were no community, there would be gods that care. So that you don't feel alone or adrift in this time that you're going through right now, which is probably very, very distressing. I've been there. Yeah, I hear that. Well, Faden, I definitely hear that. Oh, you are very welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get close to the screen to read this because it's red on black and I have a super hard time seeing red. Weaselbug, thank you, Weaselbug. Thank you, Weaselbug. Thank you for being here. Yeah, it's question time. Well, Faden, it is question time. Certainly. I'm here for it. My body is prepared. Yeah. Oh, Danica, thank you. And thank you for all that you're doing. I appreciate you, Danica. I appreciate everything. I'm assuming you are the same Danica who is currently organizing in the Pacific Northwest right now. If so, thank you for everything you're doing. This is peanuts compared to the kind of stuff that you do. So I appreciate you. Yes, that's you. Okay, then Danica, I super appreciate you. And I'm going to say directly to you, what I am doing here is peanuts compared to what Danica is doing in terms of real life, in person, organizing, finding people, organizing heathens together. It is hard. So I very much appreciate you, Danica. No, Ulfhaden, don't worry about taking up all the air. There's no air is an abundant resource. I am in a basement, but I do have ventilation, so you're not taking all that. All right, Archer, let's see here. I'm having a hard time understanding something regarding Freya and Sif. Some sources say they are the same goddess, and the myths just diverted from each other at some point. But other sources say they share similarities, but they aren't the same deity. The old, I think, oh man, who was the author who came up with the one great goddess of the Norse, of the North theory? I can't remember who it is, but there's a scholar out there, a legit scholar. I think it's Birgit something or other. Legit scholar. She says that there is only one great, like there's a bunch of male gods, but there's only one great goddess of the North, and that is Freya, Frigga, whoever. Like all the male gods are just all married to her, and really that the myths kind of subdivide this great goddess into different creatures. I've heard this theory before, so I am familiar with it. It comes down to like this is polytheism par excellence. We are polytheist not because I don't know if it's because of an underlying reality about the divine, but it's about how we experience it. And we experience the divine as a multitude, right? So, you know, a monotheist, you talk to a monotheist, you'll ask them like the characteristics, qualities of their God. And so they're this, they're this, they're this, they're this. For us, that is divided into, well, one's like this, one's like this, one's like this, one's like this. You know, there's not one thing that takes up everything. It's a multitude of experiences. I'm getting to the point here. Some of us might see and experience Freya and Sif as the same personage. Some of us might feel that way. Others of us see Freya and Sif as very, very different. I cannot say who is ultimately right and wrong on that. Some people might see Odin and Ullr actually as the same. But there's no absolutely correct answer, and as polytheists, I don't think we're ever going to get one. Religion is so religious truth is subjective truth, and I don't mean that in the sense where I'm trying to cop out and say that there is no real truth behind it. Subjective truth is a truth that is lived, chosen, and experienced by somebody. It's not merely like, oh, I just think this. No. We choose it. Sort of like in the same way that we choose a spouse out of all the many people that are out in the world. We choose a spouse. We are choosing and committing our life to a truth. So if it is meaningful to you to make that distinction, if that distinction is meaningful to you, that you're going to stake your life on it, yeah, go for it. That's what I say. Stake your life on it. That's my biggest thing, is like, just this, it can't be trivial. Whatever the answer is can't be trivial, is my line on it. It has to be meaningful to you to the point where it is like, I stake my life on this. Yes, Ray and Zip are two different beings, or they're the same. Hope that makes sense. "99% sure I've got berserker blood. Recommendations for prayer. Would some Seidr help?" Seidr would not help. I don't think so. I don't know what berserker blood means. Of Hayden, I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that it might be you might be trying to say that there's anger, like you might have anger stuff, or that you lose control sometimes. I would not recommend Seidr in this case. Seidr does involve, in many cases, altered states of consciousness, which can be unpredictable, even if it's being facilitated by someone who's really, really good at it. So I actually would not recommend that if someone's just trying to get some kind of control over themselves. I honestly would just recommend meditation. I would honestly recommend meditation, and that kind of mindfulness meditation, if it's about self-control, right? Because I think what ends up happening with people who have kind of issues with obsessive thoughts, or you know, their emotions really well up in them, is that they find they can't control themselves. What I find helps with mindfulness meditation is it helps train the mind in the ability to let things pass. You know, I sometimes think I'm the worst pagan in the world, because I'm fairly good at, like, so I hear pagans often telling me that they get messages during prayer, right? That they get messages. They're saying this morning, that they get like messages during prayer. And for me, you know, trained in the meditation that I'm trained in, you know, I'll see I'll get a message, right? And it'll just be like, oh yeah, there's a message, there it goes. Or, oh, there's a thought, there it goes. Like passing clouds in the sky. So sometimes that might help to, like, it's like, oh, I'm having an emotion, I'm having a reaction, I'm having this feeling within me that seems to be possessing me. Work to the point where you can say, like, ah, yes, there's a feeling, there it is, and there it goes, passing by like clouds in the sky. It can be hard and it's difficult, but I think that would probably be more worthwhile than say that. Point in a better direction on studies. Again, sorry, I'm missing some of the follow-ups here because I'm slowly answering the questions as they're coming in. I wish I could give you that scholar who does that great goddess theory, but I would say ultimately it just depends on the truth that you are willing to live your life by. That's what it is. I keep missing the follow-ups. I do apologize. Oh, Joju, I missed you. I don't know. That's very sweet of you to say. What do I think about anesthesia? Is that what it is? Anesthesia? And the ethical issues behind anesthesia? I'm sorry, Ujoju, is that what you're asking about? Is the ethics of anesthesia? Do I know any good resources for studying Seidr? No, Seidr is not something that I would say learning from a book. There are so many people who practice Seidr, and it is a modern practice. I would look to one of my Patty LaFile practices Seidr. You can check out her practice if she wants to take on students. I don't think she does. But Sarenth Odinson is another person that I mean, again, I don't do Seidr myself. I just watch other people do it. So Patty, Sarenth, who else do I know that gets kind of up in the woo? There's Kat Heath, who I think is a good author on some of the more mystical stuff. But yeah, I would look at other people's practices and ask them questions about it, because it is a living practice right now. So I wouldn't say there's nothing that I could recommend to you that's going to give you the full historical picture of what Seidr was. I can point you to people who do Seidr, or what they call Seidr now. It is a living magical tradition within heathenry now. I can say that. Oh, thoughts passing. Yeah, well, therapists have also included this kind of mindfulness stuff, right? So I find it works, especially when you have really powerful emotions. Not Seidr though. Seidr, say the Seidr that I've seen done is oracular Seidr. It is someone going into an altered state of consciousness to peer into the well of weird kind of thing. And that I don't think is going to be particularly helpful. Oh, Stephanie, I'm sorry you're late too. It's okay though. I'm not offended. This is why we do this every single week, right? If you can't make it at this time or that time, like we're going to be back next week. We're going to be back the week after that and the week after that. So don't worry. What do you think about having to pray 5 times a day? Well, funny you should ask me that question because I actually used, when I was a teenager, I actually used to be Muslim. True story. I prayed 5 times a day. That's part of probably why my prayer service looks partly the way it does, because I'm rather comfortable looking at the sources and seeing bowing, kneeling, praying, and prostrating. And I see that and I think, oh, that's very normal for prayer, right? I think, oh yeah, prostration. I used to do that. This is normal. So when I see that, it just kind of just seems second nature to me. So do I think about having to pray 5 times a day? I don't think we have to pray 5 times a day. There's no mandate of that. That is mandated in the Quran for Muslims to do. But there's no, in heathenry, there isn't a set amount of times per day that people are supposed to pray. And it's unfortunate, right? We don't have something like the Quran, which are like the gods telling us, hey, you know, if you're going to pray, here's exactly how you do it. Which would be great. Like I would love it if we had something like that, but we don't. But yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like someone praying 5 times a day, like this is what they do. And it'd be pretty hypocritical of me to say it's wrong because like I used to do it. So, you know, hey, some teenagers get into, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I converted to Islam. That's what I did with my teenage years. Yes, the Way of Fire and Ice also has, Way of Fire and Ice has a neat exploration of a lot of topics in paganism and Norse paganism. It is from, and Ryan, the author, Ryan, wears his, one of the things you can say about Ryan, he wears his biases on his sleeve. You know what you're getting when you get into what he's doing. So, and he's very clear and very honest about who he is and what he believes. So if you want to check it out, I do think of Fire and Ice as a good source, but just understand, Ryan does have biases, but he wears them on his sleeve and he's honest about it. That's really all you can ask. Yeah, Ash, I could say that prayer, the frequency, the frequency thing, I don't know, like, I used to find it really comforting, you know, when you get into that routine until it becomes like second nature to you. And so I can imagine prayer being motivated by, you know, I want to show devotion rather than it's 5 a.m. He's calling me again. Like I can hear the azan. You know, my azan alarm's going off. You know what I mean? Like it does eventually become like kind of almost a comforting part of your day in a way. But I would say that certainly pagan prayer, we don't know if they had required times. They might have. But as of right now, I think it's very, very devotional in nature, is pagan prayer. Website is www.thetroth.org. Oh boy, we are at 50 minutes, 51 minutes. Well, thank you guys for all the questions. I'll answer 1 or 2 more if I can. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Jojo. Why did I stop being a Muslim? Teenage drama, mostly teenage drama. That was why. Had to do with a girl. Honestly, it had to do with a girl, and that was that. It was hard, really, really hard, heartbreaking time. All right, thank you guys so much for being here with this prayer service. We are at 51 minutes, and I know I got to get to some stuff, and I'm hoping you guys have some other stuff on the menu tonight, like going out to the club, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's what you do. So thank you guys so much for being here. And I do appreciate it very, very much, each and every one of you. And I do hope to see you guys, newcomers alike, always welcome here. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week, 6 a.m. Central Time or 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, the club.